the entire Gita, the scripture is completely spiritual, trying to solve an emotional problem. Because he is asking it to look at the social problem from the spiritual level. Don't look at the social problem from the social level. You won't get the solution. Which is what happens to us all the time. If the husband and wife are having argument, it's a social problem, or a physical problem, or an economic problem, is it not? Now you keep on thinking from that angle, you don't get the solution. Because every solution you come up with has a counter argument. So how do you solve that problem? Raise yourself up and look at it from a spiritual angle. The moment you look at it from a spiritual angle, the problem disappears. How? Because spirituality will tell you that the people never fight, it's the egos that fight. Isn't it? Would you like to call yourself and be labeled as an egotistical individual? See how bad it sounds to your own self? Much less to the others. If you were to ask yourself, am I an egotistical individual? No, I don't have an ego. Right? You immediately want to get away from that label. So if you don't want to be egotistical, then drop the damn argument. That's what's proving you to be egotistical. The very argument you are holding on is proving you to be an egotistical individual. And the moment you realize from the spiritual dimension, you drop the argument, what happens to the fight now? Right? Everybody says it takes two. Two to tango. And if one refuses to fight, the fight disappears. Look for the solution of every problem of your life from a spiritual dimension. You will have a perfect solution. You bring any problem of your life, there is a spiritual solution, a mystical solution for that, for everyone. And when you reach that stage, slowly, you start rising up, growing up, evolving spiritually. You reach that highest state, and what's left inside you? Amrit naam mane vasaa-ay. How me mera sab dukh gavaye. So what was the root of your problems? How me. How me means the sense of belonging, sense of I-ness, sense of me. What about me? I have been doing this same thing for so many years. Where is my reward? You've been raising your family for so many years and you want a reward for it? Who are you obliging? Children? Society? Your spouse? Wasn't that your duty? Wasn't that your responsibility? What reward do you want? Who should acknowledge you? You are playing the role of parents, so you raise the children. That's a reward in itself. Your karma got exhausted. Why are you looking for more reward? I've been living with you for so many years. I've been tolerating you. What do you want of me? Write it on your platter and then nail it on the wall that you've been living with me? Have I not been living with you? Doesn't it take two? Who should acknowledge whom? Who should reward whom? You made a promise, I made a promise, so we've been keeping our promise. You see, you need to raise those arguments and those thoughts to the spiritual level and look at your ego. And when you look at your ego, what happens? Hame mera sab dukh gavaye. Dukh means the misery. All the miseries of life immediately drop. I gave the example last week of holding on to a piece of meat. If you are getting hurt, you are holding on to a piece of meat. Look at your hand. Don't look at somebody else and see what I am holding. And I also said 99.9999 times you will find you are holding on to your ego. I am right, you are wrong. And by golly, I am going to make you admit to it. Both are holding on to that. I am going to make you realize this. I am right, you are wrong. You raise that argument to the spiritual level, who's right and who's wrong. It's only a matter of perception. It's a matter of definition. What you call right, I will call it wrong. What you call it wrong, I'll call it right. Because these are all man-made definitions. That's why Shakespeare 400 years ago said nothing is good or bad, only thinking makes it so. An ordinary poet knew this much. And we didn't learn anything. A spiritual master is saying the same thing in a different language and communicating. How may mera sab dukh gavaye, amrit bani sada salahe, amrit pavanaya. Then your whole life revolves around that action which will take you beyond the cycle of life and death. How vari jiyovari amrit bani man vasaa-ay, amrit bani man vasaa-ay, amrit naam te amanaya. Rahao. How vari. Surrender the self 100%. When you surrender the self without keeping an iota of a chance of you being right, this desire of being right all the time is a very, very nasty habit. And it's a very deep rooted. I am right all the time. I learned that lesson way, way early in my life. In this country, when I had my first job, I was in production control, inventory control, and my supervisor had this written on his office. Anybody who catches me making a mistake, I will owe him a dinner. He was so proud that he never makes a mistake in his mathematical calculations. As the luck would have it, that within the very first month of my joining, I found the mathematical mistake in the spreadsheet that he had prepared. I pointed out that to him, and he came back the next day and said, I couldn't sleep all night. And I was surprised. Is this so important for you? To be infallible, that too in adding and subtracting numbers? And he said, that has been my whole life. Can you imagine? Not being able to sleep all night just because of this, that I made a mathematical mistake on a spreadsheet. Because the computer, these laptops and PCs had not come in yet. Everything was done manually. This desire to be right all the time. We all have that, and we need to work on that all the time, because being wrong is human. Being perfect is divine. Perfection does not belong to human body. It does not belong to human mind. Because mind can get locked into a circular logic of its own. And you won't be able to get out of it till somebody shakes you up. How do you get that? You just surrender. How wari? Jio wari. Amrit bani man vasaa-ay. Surrender the self. And make a place, a space for that pure nectar in your heart. Amrit bani man vasaa-ay, amrit naam te amanya rahao. And when you are capable, ready to do that, here is a test for you. That will be the only thing that will come out of your mouth, out of your mind, day in and day out. Amrit bole sada mukh vani. And you will not only know the difference, you will see the difference, you will hear the difference, and everybody else will know and hear the difference. And they will tell you, you have changed. Something has happened to you. What has happened to me? Well, you don't talk like that anymore. Your choice of words have changed. You have slowed down your speech pattern very much.